Hello YouTube! This is the first video that we're doing that comes in English, so we're gonna be making a lot more English content from now on fly tying. So if you do like this content, it would be great if you were to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment if you have any questions, and it will show us that you have the interest and these videos do come useful to you. As for today, I'm tying a hare's ear variation, of a hare's ear nymph that I do like to call a chubby hare's ear because of the way that the body is tied. It is one that I got plenty of questions over Facebook and Instagram after posting pictures of this fly because it really has this full body while also keeping stiffness and these imitations of legs, and I'm going to be showing you how to tie it. It's a wonderful fly that works really well all throughout the year. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you like it. I'm using a size 12 hook with a 4mm bead to tie this fly. I really see it as more of an anchor type fly, something that will help to get your whole system down really quickly. So I'll usually be tying them in 12s, 14s, and with 3.5, 4mm beads. And really, if you're tying them any smaller than a 16, for example, really the whole silhouette looks a little off. It's a chubby fly, it's a big fly, so I really found that it works best and really looks best tied in sizes between 12 and 16. I'll be using a fluorescent orange thread. I'm going to be starting it at the very bead and move it back all the way back to where the hook starts to bend. Snip the tag end off, and for the tail I'll be using this beautifully barred coq de lion feather, although I really found that you can use anything that has this natural barring, so grizzly cock feather hackle, even something like teal, partridge, mallard feathers, anything really works just as well, but for this time I'll be using a coq de lion feather, and I'll pluck around 6-7 fibers away from the stem of the feather and measure the tail to be roughly a body in length. I don't really want a long tail on this fly. It's gonna be hiding behind all of the dubbing that I'll be putting in and brushing out anyway. So it's really just there to keep the taper, keep the silhouette of the fly once it gets wet. That should be just about right. Tie it off, cut the tag ends by the bead. And now for the ribbing of the fly, I'll simply be using a gold wire. Once again, I'm going to be tying it in at the front of the fly and move it all the way back to the base of the tail. Now this next step is probably the most important when it comes to tying the fly, both when it comes to technique and when it comes to the materials used. So for the body, I am using a hare's ear dubbin. However, this is not the type of dubbing that you would usually find on a store shelf, since it has a lot of these short, fine guard hairs that are stiff. So when the fly gets wet, the soft underfur, the soft dubbing will provide all of the movement that you need, while these stiff guard hairs are going to be sticking out, pretty much imitating legs. So it has this unique combination that really works wonders. However, most regular hare's ear dubbing packets or hair dubbing packets don't come with enough guard hairs of this kind. So what you can do, and really what's probably best to do, is to have this as a really good base for the dubbin, and then use a hare's mask and cut off any fine guard hairs that you're going to be finding, especially around the ears. Mix that in, blend it in, and create a dubbing mixture that has both the nice soft fluffy material as well as enough guard hairs that are going to be poking out, imitating legs. And what you're going to want to do is first pick up quite a hefty amount of this dubbin. And usually I'm all for the traditional less is more approach when fly tying. However, this fly really requires you to take a lot of dubbing, but you'll see why. It's gonna be, a lot of it's gonna fall out, gonna be brushed out, and what you're gonna be left with is exactly the amount that you need. So pick up a clump of this dubbin and pluck it out just to form sort of a noodle, cloud of dubbing. For now, I'll place it on the table. Now I want to put this dubbing into a loop, so I can either form a loop with my thread, or since the thread that I'm using is quite easy to split, I'm just going to simply split the thread into two. And piece by piece, insert this cloud of dubbing that I had just formed into the dubbing loop. Now this is quite a long noodle, but you really want to fill the body up with this. So really don't be shy. This is one of the only times ever I'm gonna tell you, don't be shy with the dubbing material. But it's a size 12 fly, so it's quite a big fly already. So as you can see, I've got quite a lot. It's probably around 10 centimeters of a dubbing noodle. And I'm gonna start, while holding up the thread, I'm gonna start spinning my bobbin and slightly releasing the thread, spinning up and trapping all of these dubbing fibers. You really want to spin it up quite well so that enough of the material gets trapped. And already you're going to see some of these fibers are not getting caught. So just with your pulling gently with your fingers, pluck them away. And that's already a lot of material that you can just set aside for your next tie. But you can't avoid this when tying a fly of this type, which is once again why you needed to pick up so much dubbing to start with. I'll give it another little twist. And once I feel happy with it, I'm gonna start winding the body with touching wraps. Really, this is, for now, it's gonna look like a really messy part, messy body. But once it's done and over with, it's all gonna tie in really nicely. At the very front, I'm gonna want to pull the fibers back, wind it kind of like a hackle. And once again, you're gonna see some fibers that did not get trapped well enough are coming off. Once again, do not throw them away. I'll just stack them next to the side, and usually for every 3 flies I've tied, there's enough dubbing for another fly right by my side. So once that is done, you're going to want to counter rib. So wind the gold wire in the opposite direction when compared to the direction that you tied your thread in, and just make 3 or 4 turns across the body, trapping some of these fibers. And move the wire up to the bead, tie it off. Once that's secure, you can break it off by twisting it. A few more turns just in case. And now the essential point is to make the body fluffy, to get once again any underfur that didn't get trapped, didn't get tied in well, get it out. And also just to point all of these stiffer guard hairs to any direction, just so that the fly has this effect of imitating the legs. So I'll be using simply a Velcro brush, and first I'll start by moving it up and down and not sideways across the body. So we just gently brush it up and down, all over while rotating the fly. And you can already see it has this chubby, fluffy effect to the fly. I'll usually make a full rotation and then just come right back, doing the same thing. And only then I'll move my brush backwards, forming the body slightly towards the tail. And if there's any loose fibers, once again, I'll just pinch my fingers towards the back end of the fly and remove anything that hasn't been properly trapped. So right now you could probably tie off the fly and it's going to be working quite well. What I like to do, because most insects have a darker head than their actual body, and just to add a little bit of shine to the fly as well, I'm going to be using a dark peacock dubbing, just enough to make 1 or 2 turns around the hook right next to the bead, sort of imitate this head. And once again, give a little bit of flash and attractive quality to the fly. And then make several turns with the thread to also form an orange tag right there by the bead. Now all that's left to do is to add some varnish onto the thread. I really prefer to add varnish onto the thread rather than adding it after the fly is finished, just because I feel that way of doing your finishing is a lot less messy and you get less of it all over the tie-in materials. All you need to do now is make a 4 or 5 turn whip finish. Make sure it's tight. Simply trim the thread and that's it, you're done. Once again, this is a fly that has worked really well for me throughout the year and really one well worth having in the box, especially during a caddis hatch, because I really feel that it's a great imitation of a caddis larvae. So right before a caddis hatch, if you know it's going to be coming off, definitely have this one in your box. At least try it out, and I'm sure it's gonna work as well for you as it did for me. And if you did enjoy this video, once again, we're just starting off with English content. I would really be happy if you were to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment if you have anything to say or if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.